7 o'clock. I'm assuming the system is now working, Matt? Okay, thank you. Right, good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of Burnside Council of the 12th of July 2022, opening at 7:01 p.m. Council is meeting back in our pre-COVID horseshoe-shaped seating plan, and those who will wear masks do so by choice. The gallery is now seated back inside the chamber, and deputations are live and public question time is available. I welcome all those of you who are also watching from home. Please remain silent and stand for the acknowledgements. We acknowledge that the land that we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. We also pay respect to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people visiting and attending from other areas of South Australia and Australia. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to those who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. We also consider in our thoughts all those currently affected by war, especially in the Ukraine. Finally, we seek understanding and guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Please be seated. Please be patient and respectful of each other as we get used to these rearrangements. It is important that all views of the elected members are heard. I will be using the auto-queuing system, so please use your button on your microphone to raise your hand and do not speak until I have acknowledged you. And remember to turn off your microphone as soon as you have finished speaking. If this does not happen, the next speaker will not be heard by our audience online. Now please turn off your mobile phones or place them on silent before we begin so that we can focus on the debate without interruption. Right, we've covered everything except we've now got to point 6, which is absences. Due to school holidays and a number of illnesses, there are 4 absentees tonight, and I haven't heard about Councillor Jones, a formal apology from him, so I'm going to assume he may still be coming. But I have had formal apologies from Julian Carbone, Sarah Hughes, Paul Hubel and Grant Piggott. There are no leave of absence. Declaration of interest reminder. Is there anyone who needs to declare an interest over any of the reports that come to Council tonight? No. Confirmation of minutes. I seek someone to move. Councillor Cornish, you're moving the minutes. And a seconder, I'm not using my microphone, Councillor Turnbull it is. So anyone have any comment? Otherwise I will put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. There's no adjourned business or public question time or presentations or deputations tonight or petitions. So I'm going to read out each of the reports and seek a response from any of you, in terms of who would like to withdraw any for debate. First one is 11.1 and I have Councillor Lemon on my screen. Traffic Management, Haslam Oval, Councillor Davey. Burnside Retirement Services, we have to do that one anyway, but who would like to withdraw that one? Councillor Cornish, got your name there. An appointment of member to the Brown Hill Creek Keswick Creek. Does anyone wish to just vote on that one now or move and vote? You're happy to move it, Councillor Davey?
I used mine.
Sorry, Councillor Lemon, you did use yours and you're happy to move it now?
I'm happy to move the recommendation.
And Councillor Henschke, you're seconding. So those in favour of the recommendation in the report, those against, carried. Policy review, finance policies. Does anyone wish to withdraw for debate? Otherwise, I seek a mover. Councillor Cornish, you're moving. I seek a seconder. Councillor Henschke is second to respond. So all those in favour, those against, carried. The minutes of the Eastern Regional Alliance Era Water Special Board meeting. Is there anyone who wishes? Councillor Dawes, you would like to withdraw it or are you moving it? Moving, seconded by Councillor Cornish. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Mayor's report. I seek a mover to accept it, or have you
I'm
got a
moving it
question?
because I want to withdraw it.
Oh, you want to withdraw it?
Thank you.
Okay. Right, we'll go back now to 11.1, and that is Councillor Lemon.
Thank you. I move the officer's report with a slight variation, and I sent that in. Requests by the 9th of August. Point 2, that then brings it within our current term and not after the last meeting before caretaker. So that was the reason for that, and it is a month to go. Now, this has made Burnside famous for all the wrong reasons yet again. I'm moving the officer's report, and I would also say that all we're considering here is that a message was sent, that we have requests for apologies to the complainant and the council, and that we are looking only at what is before us, and we are not looking at that in terms of ourselves. We are looking at it in terms of what we see as acceptable to the ratepayers of this city. So I think what we've got is a very good outcome for the investigation, and I really commend it to you.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Cornish.
I'll reserve my right to speak, thanks.
Sorry, Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to ask a question, please. How do we, as council members, know that the recommendations of this code of conduct, if passed by council, are actually carried out, and in what time frame? We've already had 2 instances of code of conduct in my time in council, whereby apologies and in one case training was requested. Were those decisions of council exacted, and if so, when? And how, as a council, are we to know that it's been put through?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you. With regards to each of those, I'll just address each in particular. So in terms of the issue in the written apology, I will talk to Councillor Carbone about getting a copy of that apology to ascertain that it has actually occurred to the young lady in question. And obviously council will be aware of that apology because that will come in to our mayor, so we'll be able to ascertain whether that's occurred. 2.2, that will be a simple check, just searching on Instagram to determine that that Instagram account either no longer exists or has been renamed and it no longer references the city of Burnside in any manner. And the third one, that training will be provided through our governance team by an external provider. So again, I will be able to ascertain that that's occurred, and if it does, I'll bring that report to council, but conversely also if it doesn't occur, I will bring that report to council to inform them of such.
Councillor Davis.
The conduct of Councillor Carbone has brought this council and the institution, in my view, of local government into disrepute. We have lost significant confidence from our community in our ability to govern and to lead. And that fact is very clear from the phone calls and the messages that this council has received on its front desk, and also in the comments that we've seen following a post in the article published by the Advertiser. Now, Burnside has suffered a checkered history, and I am embarrassed to add this saga to the list. I condemn the actions of Councillor Carbone in messaging a 17-year-old girl, which in no circumstances would pass the moral standard expected of any member of the community, let alone an elected official. To add salt to the wound, when Councillor Carbone was presented with a complaint, his denial unduly cost ratepayers well beyond what would normally be expected of a standard code of conduct. His denials were quite frankly ridiculous. Simultaneously, he claimed to have been hacked. He claimed that he doesn't remember sending it. He claims that someone stole his phone at 5:06 a.m. in the morning as some kind of joke. He says that he messaged the wrong account, which obviously begs the question, which account was he meant to message? It is clear that maintaining these conflicting excuses is completely untenable. In relation to the other accounts he follows, not the other way around, the accounts that he follows, there are a large number of minors. And there are also obscene Instagram accounts which were clearly created for another purpose and clearly not residents of the City of Burnside Council. Even some 32 minutes ago, he claimed that these people were following him and that he had been hacked or he had been spammed by fake accounts. But that is clearly not how Instagram works. He chose to follow those accounts, and there's a very large number of them, and I find that extremely concerning given the comments that were made. Now, we cannot ask Councillor Carbone to resign, but I feel strongly that he should resign. I condemn Councillor Carbone's behaviour in the strongest terms, and I think our community does too. And so I hope you'll support this motion.
Councillor Henschke.
Thank you, Mayor. The system has failed. I am very sad for the family of this 17-year-old, what she has gone through, what her whole family have gone through for many months. And this should never happen again.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I endorse all the comments that have already been made. I support this motion and thank Councillor Lemon for amending the date, because I think that's entirely appropriate as we're about to go into caretaker mode. I have to say I'm personally shocked at this apparent abuse of Council's social media account. It reflects very badly on the councillor involved and therefore us all at Burnside, all of us who work very hard to represent a council of dignity, one which operates in our community and more widely with integrity, care and concern for all, especially the young and vulnerable. Those who may post carefree photos and shots on their Instagram account without realising there are predators out there who may look at them in another way and take advantage of them. I thank the young woman involved for reporting her concerns and hope that any others who may be similarly affected also report their concerns to the administration or, if relevant, to SAPOL. I'd also like to thank our CEO for his stewardship of this process. I know it's been long and arduous, and I believe it's been a very challenging exercise. Ensuring the code of conduct is implemented, that natural justice is maintained, and aware as he is of the threat to the reputation of Burnside Council. I too would like to see Councillor Carbone do the right thing and resign. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm echoing the same sort of sentiments, but while I find Councillor Carbone's response to the post very inappropriate, my biggest disappointment is that the Councillor Carbone engaged in this exchange under a social media address, and this implies it's an official Burnside Council address, and by implication that it's sanctioned by Burnside Council, and that's not correct. My second big disappointment was on reading and hearing Councillor Carbone was his weaselling out of taking responsibility with assertions such as, my phone's been hacked, I pressed the wrong button, it's going to send it to a friend, etc. He must apologise for his poor judgment to the team at the Burnside Council for reflecting poorly on the reputation of the council. We, the elected members and the Mayor and our excellent CEO and administration team, plus the whole council team, have endeavoured to work together during the last 4 years, making a concerted effort to rebuild the reputation of the Burnside Council. And the efficiency and the great range of services and events provided to our residents has been, particularly during the pandemic, has been amazing. We don't want this tarnished by one thoughtless act by one councillor exercising poor judgment. So I support the recommendation. To me, it's a balance between a disciplinary response and sending a strong message that the reputation and standing of Burnside Council must be upheld. Thank you.
Councillor Dord.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to correct one thing that Councillor Davies said. I don't think she meant to say it, but she said council's social media account. It's actually Julian Carbone's social media account. I think that's what you meant to say, but I think that I would like to have that corrected. I guess from my perspective, we've done so many good things in this council over the last 3.5 years that I've been involved, and it is disappointing that we've had this. Councillor Carbone said today that it was an inappropriate message, but that it was only said after a long period of time. It was unprofessional. I think everybody said unprofessional, not respectful. It does undermine the community's trust in our council. We have received, Councillor Turnbull and I, an email today from a very concerned resident that we've spent $11,500 and yet she can't get a replacement tree. Now, it's two completely different issues, but she's combined the two. So that's what happens when you get involved with social media. That's why I don't have a Facebook account, because I know it gets you into strife. So I'm just going to support, I think, I do acknowledge Councillor Lemon, what she said there early on, that it's about one thing that has happened in regards to the comment on Instagram, and that's what we should concentrate on. But I'm very, very hopeful that this is a once only for Councillor Carbone. He understands that he's done the wrong thing. He will apologise. He'll stop his Instagram account, which I think has already happened, and he's undergone training. Thank you.
I'm wondering if there's anyone else who wishes to speak. Otherwise, we did have the second to speak. That was you. You haven't, so... No, fine. You're okay? Don't wish to say anything? And Councillor Jones, you haven't said anything? You don't wish to speak? All right. Well, then I will go back to Councillor Lemon.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for your comments. What's been said in this chamber tonight is something that all of us believe in, that every comment that's been made has been echoed by others. So I thank you for that. And let's hope. We worked very hard, it's true, over the last 4 years. And this is really a terrible thing to happen to a council and its staff. And I hope that these recommendations can go some way to restoring the trust that the community has in this council.
All those in favour? Against? Carried? And I'll say unanimously. Oh, you want a division called? All right, so that means unless anyone changes their mind, everyone stands. Right, we have Councillor Henschke, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Davey, and Councillor Davis, Councillor Jones, Councillor Dawes, Councillor Turnbull, and Councillor Lemon. Thank you. And can I just put the word in there, it was a unanimous decision. We don't normally do that, but where it says carried or lost, don't have to or not allowed to? Oh, not allowed to anymore. Right, thank you. So we now move to Councillor Davey, 11.2, Traffic Management, Haslam Oval.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a slightly amended recommendation, and I'll just read it out for those who don't have it in front of them. This is regarding traffic management in the Haslam Oval area. The council received...
Councillor Davey, can I just suggest that people who just read out the amendment, because you don't need to read out the whole thing, because just read out the pertinent amendment that you've made.
I've added at a 2.5, provides additional signage to support the parking restrictions. And at 4, continues to monitor the precinct in consultation with residents. And then the last one notes that the rangers will continue to monitor the precinct during peak periods on Saturdays and Sundays and take any action necessary. So there's just a couple of extra wording there. Following the petition to Council on the 8th of March, staff have undertaken a significant traffic and parking survey around Haslam Oval in May. And I thank them, Barry Cand and Alan and David Hayes in particular, and the team for their work in assessing this area. It's a constant balancing act for the school and the Little Athletics group to compete for ever diminishing access to street parking, with spillover from the Oval car park, particularly on weekends. So as we all know, it goes into all the local surrounding streets. There's also significantly increased demand in recent months from business and church activities on the parade at Beulah Park. So as we've geared up after COVID, new businesses have opened, particularly some hospitality businesses, and there's a lot of traffic and parking spilling back into Beulah Park. The most frustrating aspect for residents is not being able to get in and out of their driveways when there's just, the streets are clogged and people aren't observing all the parking restrictions. I've actually circulated some photos that the residents have sent, which show Gers Road on a Saturday morning. I think it's only supposed to be one side parking. The restrictions meaning there will be one side parking. And the other one is a depiction of a driveway with a yellow, an actual yellow line, fading as though it is, and someone over partially obstructing a driveway, which is very difficult for the residents to get in and out. So they're increasingly having this difficulty in these narrow streets in Beulah Park. I thank the staff for their considered way of managing and thinking through how to balance all these competing demands. Reduced parking times to 1 hour, new restrictions in Andrew Street and Dunstan Avenue will hopefully help the residents. As I mentioned, the residents are very keen to see the yellow lines revitalised and enforced, and that the ranger activity checks on their patrols that driveways aren't blocked. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff, but it's really important to these residents. They also recommend extra signage to help those looking for parks, because it is such a congested area. They're also keen to be actively involved and surveyed when council is monitoring traffic and parking in this precinct. There was some concern raised with me that no residents were surveyed in this current process, only the school and the athletics club. So on the whole, it's residential amenity which we're trying to preserve here in balance with the businesses in the area and the school, and so that it all operates and everybody can function. So hopefully you'll support my motion. Thank you.
Seek a seconder. Councillor Jones, you're seconding. Do you wish to speak now? You're going to... All right. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak or ask a question? Councillor Henschke.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Clarifying the parking demand of businesses on the parade there, those cluster of shops, just... Actually, I personally have had to park around the corner because it just gets so busy on the parade. But what was their feedback on all of this? Thank you.
Through Madam Mayor, if I can just refer that to Mr. Cand.
Through your worship, consistent with the council resolution, we didn't actually consult with the businesses on the parade. This was a focus on residential demand during that time. However, attachment C1 provides the parking demand on those residential streets through business day periods. It wasn't a significant issue that we identified at that stage.
Councillor Dort.
Yes, a question if I may. Councillor Davies has sent these photos around, and I see it's on a Saturday morning. Is that during, it might be something that could be answered by Councillor Davies later or the staff, was that when there was athletics on? Because I would have thought that the afternoon would have been more busy with the football, but if someone could just explain what was on the Oval at that time.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I have no one on the screen.
Football starts at 7 a.m. and goes till 5. We have no idea when.
Probably not appropriate, but I won't say anything. Okay. No one wishes to speak? Then I need to go to the seconder.
I support the motion.
All right.
Please vote for it.
Okay. And therefore, I will now go back to Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just referring back to that photo, this is, I believe, and gives an idea of the Saturday morning congestion that starts at 7 a.m. So it's the mix of residential parking and then all the football and little athletics. So it's a combination of all of that activity, and that shows the acuteness of it. Hopefully, this is all pretty straightforward. The staff have done a great job. We need to keep monitoring the requirements and keep an eye on this area. We will have, hopefully in the near future, 40k per hour speed limits introduced in this area, which will help significantly once we've got through our master planning process and the community consultation that goes with that. That will help, hopefully, keep the through traffic down. But it is a constant juggling act between the schools and business use and the residential use of this area. So hopefully you'll support this. Thank you.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right, now we move to 11.3. Councillor Cornish, you are going to run with it. Burnside Retirement Services.
Thank you, Worship. I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation. We have to, yeah, 1, 2, 3? 1. 1 to 4. Okay, the short listing's at 4. So I move 1 to 4 to begin with.
I seek a seconder for that section. Councillor Lemon, I saw your hand, and
Yeah.
nobody else had their name on the machine. So, is there any do you wish to speak on this? Does anyone wish to speak on this, Councillor? Sorry, I needed to find out, Councillor Lemon, if you wish to withhold your right to speak. Oh, all right, go for it then, and then I'll come to Councillor Jones.
I have a question. Paragraph 20. At this time, there are no board members who are eligible for reappointment. I found that a bit odd because none of them have done 6 years. So all the current board members would be eligible for reappointment, would they not? I'm sorry, I found that unusual.
Yeah, through Madam Mayor. On reflection, that's probably not relevant to the topic of the hand of this evening because we're not actually talking about members who are coming to end of terms. We're talking about vacancies and no members, running short members, as it were.
Right, now Councillor Jones. And then will be Councillor Davies.
Sorry, I have
So, Councillor Davies, could you just turn your microphone off because I had to interrupt Councillor Jones. You will be next.
I can go after Jane.
You're on now, you're on now.
Okay. So I got a question. So, and this came out of reading the response to the questions on notice. There's who appoints the board of BRSI? It says the board puts recommendations to us, which we are then, we have to appoint them unless we think they're wholly inappropriate. So why are we setting up an appointment committee? Isn't this what the board should be doing?
Through Madam Mayor, again, if we had members who were coming to end of term who wished to remain on, the board would make a recommendation to us that they wish for them to be reappointed. In this instance, we don't have enough board members at the minute and we need to go out to the public to seek those. In that case, the council is initiating that and making the decision.
Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I have an explanation as to why so many people have resigned from the board, please?
Certainly. So if I can refer to paragraph 17, it might be the easiest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at the minute, the board is operating with 6 members. So there is one vacancy as it stands. Paula Davis has recently resigned, so that prompted a vacancy, and Freddie Bartlett has informed us that within 2 to 3 months' time, he's actually going to take up the opportunity to be a board member on another residential facility, which he feels that he couldn't service both board positions adequately. So he is deciding to step away. And David has been gone for some period of time, and I think that was just a personal decision that he made. So in essence, this is about making sure the board has enough members so we don't burn out the 3/4 that are left now. I've spoken to the acting chair, Levi, and he's very comfortable that the board is functioning well, but is conscious that if we don't have replacements in place, we may put strain to the point that the members won't be able to cope with that.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this? Otherwise, Councillor Henschke?
Yeah, thank you. A question, Madam Mayor, for the administration. Has the board done a matrix of its capabilities yet, and that might help the selection next, or is that part of the process? Thank you.
Through Madam Mayor, that is certainly part of the process, and in fact, having regard for getting the right skills mix, we will have, I think the acting chair will be, whilst he won't be part of the decision process, he'll be there in an advisory capacity to ensure that if there's any thoughts to share about the skills mix.
Right, I shall go back to Councillor Cornish. You're happy for me to put it? Right, I'll put this to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. The second part requires nominations to be put forward to be on this working group. Councillor Jones.
I nominate you, Mayor.
Thank you. I will accept that nomination. Councillor Dawes.
I'll nominate Councillor Turnbull.
And Councillor Turnbull will accept that as well. Sorry, I didn't have a microphone on. Councillor Turnbull has accepted that. Councillor Cornish.
I'll nominate Councillor Lemon if I can, given it.
And Councillor Lemon also wishes. Therefore, we have got to do a round of voting. So, unless anyone's got any other ideas? All right, you happy, Councillor Davis? No objection to that? All right, then it appears that all three... You're happy to second that? Okay. Haven't had anyone counter that, so we'll enter 3 names in there, Mayor Monceau, Councillor Lemon and Councillor Turnbull, alphabetically. So, thank you very much for that. And we need to move... Yeah, I'm just about to do that. And now we need to vote on that. So, those in favour? Those against? Carried. Right, next one is the Mayor's report. Councillor Davey, you wish to withdraw that?
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to move in accordance with the recommendation. I just had a query about meeting with candidates for Bragg, and I note about the 5th dot point. You met with one, but there were a whole lot of other candidates, the ALP
No one
and the
else.
Green.
Can I just answer by saying no one else approached the CEO and I to meet? Had they approached us to meet or me to meet, I would have met with all of them. No distinction whatsoever. But that request came, I think, in the very last week prior to the election, and of course we said yes, and that's why I actually put in there the candidate. Yeah. Oh, yes, we did actually meet with the federal member for Labor. So earlier on, like when the last election was on, yeah, and with the current member Sturt, Mr. James Stevens, yes. That was all you wished to ask about? Yes. Okay, fine. And just while you're on it, it was really good to receive that letter, by the way, and I hope you read that, from Nicola Spurrier, Dr. Nicola Spurrier, congratulating the council for all the work that they did during COVID. So it was really, that's why I put it in there. I thought it was important that you all saw that letter. Right.
I'm seconding.
Councillor Cornish is seconding. Yep. All right, those in favour? Those against? Carried.
I have a motion without notice.
We have a question on notice. Sorry.
I have a motion without notice.
You have a motion without notice? Does that come before the question? Yes. All right. Motion without notice, off you go.
The motion is that, I'm not sure if we have it ready. Yeah. Ooh, it was greyed out. That's a good idea. So the motion is that the administration provides a report to council by the 9th of August 2022 on the possibility of recouping the legal costs from Councillor Carbone relating to the Code of Conduct as outlined in Report 11.1, Code of Conduct complaint. Yeah. Speaking to that, there has been a, in my view, going through the 150-page report, there has been an extensive amount of work done which I do not necessarily believe is justified. There is also, in my view, reading the comments that have been placed in certain forums, that there is a significant request from community that Councillor Carbone repay the legal fees involved. Many of those legal fees, in my view, were unnecessarily incurred, disputing the authority for Mellor Olsen, for example, to conduct the investigation, and also requiring an expert, an IT expert, to come in and examine the claims that his phone had been hacked or various other excuses. I do not know what the mechanism is or what authority council does have to ask for the recruitment of legal fees, or in what position we could potentially take on that. But I also think that this is a good opportunity now as well to consider what this council has, or what opportunities we have in future Code of Conduct we would have to request for legal fees back. So I would consider that the report would provide council with an understanding of whether the costs incurred were excessive, and I normally understand that any Code of Conduct, whether it's made out or not made out, would cost some $5,000. And I would like to understand how the legal fees got to be so significant, and a report detailing those circumstances and what options are available to our community, I believe would strengthen the community's confidence in us as a council. So I'm seeking your support.
Councillor Lemon, you're seconding? Yes, I am. You wish to speak now, or withhold your right?
Yes, I'm happy to second this, and I'll withhold my right of reply.
Then I'm looking for anyone else who wishes to speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I thank Councillor Davis for his motion. I too have had queries to me as to why these costs are so significant, and it has been raised in the press. It's becoming an interest to our community. So I think for us to have a report to actually outline the options of council, and why it is this great a fee, which, you know, is a big impost on our council. Thank you.
Councillor Councillor Davis. Sorry, Dawes. Apologies, Councillor Dawes.
Thank you. A question, if I may, to administration. In our policy document, and it's on page 154 of our agenda papers tonight, it does give us the opportunity, I believe, and I'd like to see if this is true or false, at 6.1.5.6, that we can request the member to repay monies to the council. So do we need to have a look at this motion or not?
Through Madam Mayor, I think this report is pertinent in that you're quite correct, Councillor Dawes. The current provisions around the Code of Conduct do provide an option for council to seek that reimbursement, but there are a number of factors that come into play if council wishes to go down that route. So I think it's important to understand, one, for council to talk about the level that they seek to recovery on, but also to understand the mechanism for recovery, the limitations to that, and perhaps what happens should that recovery not be forthcoming. So I support this report in that I think it will give council more information to make an informed decision on whether they wish to go down this route.
Councillor Turnbull.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is, are there any other instances in the past, say in the past 2 terms of council, where people on having code of contacts have been asked to repay their money? Or is this a first?
Through Madam Mayor, to my knowledge, we haven't asked for monies to be recuperated.
Getting a no from Mr Cant.
Can I speak to it now then, please?
You've missed your thing in the queue. It's actually Councillor Dawes speaks first, and then I think you're...
I'm just trying to remember our average cost of a code of conduct in the past. And I had a feeling it was about 8,000 or thereabouts. Can administration advise us there?
Through Madam Mayor, the average cost today is between 5,000 to 6,000.
5 and 6, thank you.
Now, Councillor Turnbull, you can speak.
Thank you. I just think that this will set a precedent for what's going to happen in the future. You can't just pick and choose who you're going to ask to repay the monies. So it hasn't happened in the past. Will it happen in the future? Who knows? It needs to be made absolutely clear. So I won't support this one because I think you're picking on one person to do this. So it's not for me. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. I will support the motion. We're only seeking a report, Councillor Turnbull. We're not actually deciding to do it or not. Number one, I do want to see additional information as the CEO has requested, and whether or not it is maybe the figure might be the recommendation, or there might, be determined that it's above the average. Because in this particular instance, I do believe with Councillor Davis that by prolonging and coming up with some of those excuses has cost this council more than it should have during this process. And if you did the right thing and you went through the process, it might not have cost as much because we wouldn't have needed experts to be hired, and IT experts, and the additional costs involved with that. So I will be supporting this motion to see what the report comes back as why this one is higher, and I suspect that's the why, because it took a lot longer, because there were rabbit holes that went down. So with this, so I will be supporting this motion.
Councillor Jones.
I've got a question, if I may. Can you jog my memory? Because I distinctly recall when we were talking about whether to have this second investigation report, that it was this council decided to have an IT expert trawl through the 1,400 people that Councillor Carbone was following. It had nothing to do with him objecting to the claims made against him, which he has a perfect right to do. And there are other people sitting around this table who've had code of conduct claims against them who have objected and put their case. So I do feel we are kind of singling someone out.
Through me, I'm not sure what the question was.
The question was, it was this council that decided to have an IT expert.
Was it this council?
It was nothing to do with Councillor Carbone.
Through Madam Mayor, if I can put some context on that, my understanding is the IT's expert's cost in this matter was less than $1,000. So it's by no means caused this to go from the average to where it is now. So it's certainly not the lion's share of the cost.
Councillor Henschke.
Thank you. A question, Madam Mayor, for the administration. What is the cost estimated for the training for that specific topic?
Through Madam Mayor, I don't have a cost to hand, but I might refer that to Karishma, who may be able to shed some light to that for me.
Thank you, Chris. Through the Mayor, we would need to get a quote from a number of providers in line with our procurement policy. We don't have an exact amount at this stage.
Subsequent question, could that be part of the report? Be included in the report?
Through Madam Mayor, happy to put that in the report, but in the context
If it's relevant.
No, we'll provide council with information, but in the context of the motion that was moved at 11.1, I won't be coming back to council before I instigate that part of the action.
No, but it still could be listed in the report after the fact, okay. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? If not, then I shall go back to Councillor Lemon.
Thank you. This is a report that will come back that will give us an indication of why this is twice the cost of a usual code of conduct, which I think is useful to know. It's not singling anyone out. It is investigating in a specific instance whether there was any particular reason why this is twice the cost of a usual code of conduct, and looking at ways, if we chose to recover those costs, that doesn't mean we're going to. It's just giving us the option. It doesn't mean we're going to do it. And I think this is useful. It would be remiss of this council not to investigate these things. So I hope you do support it.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Oh, sorry? Oh,
No, she had a second.
I apologise. You hadn't spoken as a seconder, so you've done that. Now I'm going back to the person who actually moved the motion. Apologies, Councillor Davis.
Thank you. And I think that I understand that there may be that accusation that it's singling someone out. But I also think that when it comes to community trust and confidence, we might not necessarily have our code of conduct procedures right. And I would like to understand what we could do, what powers we could do to change that code of conduct, or even for the next council, because we will soon depart here. But to understand what are our limits and limitations and what actions we have available to us to request a councillor or an elected member where they unduly drag out an investigation to repay those fees. This is not asking for those fees to be repaid now. It's to understand our rights and abilities as a council, which I suggest would inform future councils. And I also believe that there has been an incredible outcry, as far as I've seen, from the community, asking for Councillor Carbone to repay those fees. That was not the motion that we put tonight, but I think it's certainly something we should turn our minds to. And I believe that that will go a long way to restoring our community's trust and confidence in this council.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Right, now we move on to questions on notice. We've received the answers to those. We've had a motion on without notice. We don't have any motions on notice. Urgent or other business? No, I haven't received anything in advanced warning about that. But we do have a confidential item, and that requires a mover for us to move into confidence. Councillor Davis, you're doing that. I'm happy to take your hand on that one. Moving into confidence, Councillor Henschke seconding. You were on the screen too. Yep. Seconding that. So all those in favour of going into confidence?